This section in your book, Supporting Procedures in Computer Hardware, goes through and explains how to write a procedure in an assembly program. A procedure, also known as a subroutine, also known as a function in C++. Now you know that a function in C++ is a collection of statements, and it's a way to organize your program. When a function call is made, you go away from the calling portion, enter the function, execute the statements in the function, and then return to the very next statement following the call. In assembly, there are specific instructions that we need to use in order for the function to be called and then the return to be made to the correct statement in your program. So in this section, if you scroll down, you'll see the two instructions I'm talking about. The first one is jump and link, followed by the label for the function. The jump and link is different from just a jump. A link happens. In other words, the address of the very next statement is stored in a register automatically so that once the function is complete, your program knows where it needs to return to. So the register in which the address is stored is the RA register right here. It's $RA, $return address. So the address is stored for the next statement in the program. Once you complete your function, you would use this statement here to jump back to the calling address. This is jump return and then the address. So these are the two statements you'll use when you're using your function, when you're writing a function. The other thing I want to draw your attention to are these three bullets right here. Registers A0 through A3 are argument registers, so you can pass parameters to your function. V0 to V1, value registers, so that you can return values from the function. So you can see that you're very limited in terms of how many parameters you can pass and how many values you can return. This section of your book goes through and it explains how to call a function and write a subroutine. But it also goes through and explains more information you'll see in the next section, in which it shows you how to use more registers so that you can pass more parameters and return more values. But before we get to that point, I would like you to take a look at a sample program. So we'll go over to Mars. This is a sample program that shows you how to create a procedure in assembly, passing a value and then also returning a value back to the calling part. So if you look in your .data section first, you'll see that you have a variable x that's initialized with the value 5. You have a variable y that's initialized to 0. Once you get to your .text, the first step is to load the value 5 into S0, load the value 0 into S1. Here, you're moving the 5 into register A0, and if you recall from what we just discussed, A0 is an argument register, so that is going to get passed to your function. Your function call happens in the very next statement. It's a jump and link to this label here, fun. So you're going to call function fun. As soon as this statement is executed, the return address, which is for line 29, is then stored in the RA register. So jump to function fun. Let's scroll down, and here we are. So remember, right now, as you enter function fun, the value 5 is stored in A0. The first step is to move a 3 into S0. And now you're taking 3 and you're multiplying it by the 5. So 15 then is stored in S1. Next statement, 15, right here, is added to 5. So 20 is stored back into S1. So it's a very simple statement you're executing there. Now, in line 64, you're taking the value 20 and you're moving it into a V register. And again, if you recall, the V register is the return register. So you're returning the value 20 back to the calling portion. Here's your last statement in your function. You're going to jump return to that address that's stored in the RA register, which is the address for line 29 here. So you're going to take your returned value, right now it's in V0, the 20, and you're going to move that 20 into S1. The next set of statements then prints a message, so it's going to show the value for Y. The next statement then shows the value, that's the 20, and then new line character, and then exit your program. So I'm going to run it real quick so you can see exactly what happens. And right here, Y equals 20, which is correct. The next thing you should be thinking about then is if you jump and link to a function and the RA register is populated, how do you call another function from inside that function? If you do that, the RA register will be overwritten with the new address. So the important thing to do would be to move the value, the original value that was in RA, into a temporary storage location, and then move it back when you need to return to that original calling portion. So something to think about when you call a function from inside a function, how do you store all these return addresses?